Let me tell y'all something. These doggone moving company, y'all had one job to do. One job. Now, grateful, no one was hurt. According to the report, no movers were hurt, no people on the street were hurt, none of that. But y'all had one job to do, man. One dadgum job. Move a piano. That's all y'all do. Like, y'all don't do nothing else but move stuff. That's all you do. And y'all dropped a $200,000 piano. $200,000. How? How do you do that? What's up, everybody? This is the Mad Hatter. You're watching another edition of the Mad Hatter is Puzzled. I'm very glad to be with you guys today. Very glad that I was able to have an awesome time with my wife last night for Valentine's Day. I hope everybody had a wonderful night last night. Didn't get too wild or crazy. We was able to enjoy love and fellowship and everything in between. With your friends, with your family, with that special someone who I'm hoping will be special for a long, long time and not just somebody who's special for one night, if you know what I'm saying. Today, we're going to be talking about Gayle King versus Snoop Dogg and that whole debacle that was. Also going to be talking about Dwyane Wade and his transgendered son and their journey. We're going to be talking about an epic fail on a moving company's part, and also talking about a firefighter's decision that cost him a couple of days of pay. Right now, I am Mod Podging, which is another fancy word for gluing down a couple of puzzles that I finished over the past couple of weeks. Give me 1 second, I'll show you what puzzles those are. As I'm gluing this one down really quickly. Last week I finished the puzzle called Astrology by Gallison. Finished this one last week and was able to kind of have that one sitting there. And then last night I was very surprised by finishing this puzzle by Anatolian called Delightful Woman. I really love this puzzle. I was so happy when I was able to get it and couldn't wait to start putting this together. And like I said, last night I was very surprised that I actually was able to finish this puzzle as fast as I did, especially last night. So I'm gluing those down today. So you are literally going to watch me watch paint dry as I talk to y'all about some things that I'm puzzled about on today. If you have any questions or comments about anything that's going on here, feel free to hit me up in the comments section and I'll try to respond as fast as I can. I'm going to try to get my YouTube page up and running with all of my podcasts later on today. And so not only can you catch them here on Instagram and Facebook, but you should be able also to watch them on YouTube as well. And so definitely subscribe to my page, the Mad Hatter Puzzle Art, for all updates on the Mad Hatter is Puzzled and other things that I'm going to try to start doing within the next few months on that page. Also, just as a disclaimer, as always, I am not endorsed by any puzzling company or anything of that nature, but I am so grateful once again to Gallison for liking this podcast. Also, Art and Fable Puzzle Company. Notice that y'all have been following me a lot too, and so thank you for your support as well. And also Anatolian Puzzles, y'all rock. Every time that I'm putting something together, y'all are following me and posting updates of what I do and things like that. And so just very grateful to y'all as well for all y'all support. But again, just as a disclaimer, anything that I say on here, they are not endorsing me whatsoever. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I'm not going to buy their products because of this, that, and the third. I have no endorsement. They are not sponsoring me yet. So again, anything that I say is purely my own opinion, and just want to let everybody know that up front. All right, so let's get started in our podcast today. One of the things that I'm puzzled about is the fact that a firefighter lost 2 days, was suspended for 2 days of work after saving someone's life. It's very puzzling to me because that's what I thought firefighters were supposed to do. But apparently there is a method to their madness, and he did not follow the madness rules, and so he ended up getting suspended for 48 hours without pay. It says an Atlanta firefighter who rushed into a burning house to try to save a life of an elderly woman has been suspended without pay. The firefighter was able to pull the 95-year-old woman out of the house. But it was still unfortunate because though he did that, she did die at the scene of her injuries. Despite risking his life to save the woman, he was suspended for 48 hours without pay as he technically broke protocol by entering the burning building home alone. And the official said he entered the structure without crew members, which is in immediate conflict with no freelancing, accountability, and maintaining crew integrity. And so it just kind of baffles my mind that we're still in this age where you can get punished for doing the right thing. You can get punished for doing the right thing. It sucks that that's kind of the way that it was, and they wrote the rules the way that they are, and of course they probably had good reason for doing so. But in a moment's thought process, he felt like he needed to save this woman, and yes, he went in by himself, and she did still die, unfortunately. But he did risk his life to go save this woman, which is what I thought firefighters were supposed to do. I thought that they were supposed to, go where we wouldn't go and do what we wouldn't do. Yeah, sure, he broke protocol, but at the same time, he did what any person I would think would do. And so again, it's just kind of bothersome to me that we're still, in this world where the rules are more important than saving lives, that the rules are more important than actually helping people. And now I do believe that the suspension was more symbolic than anything else. I don't think that they really wanted to suspend him because according to the report, if I'm not mistaken, like this was after, let me see, it said, hold on. I can't read. Here we go. The suspension came following a months-long investigation. So they actually took a whole month's time to determine that they were going to do something about his efforts to go into this building alone. So it sounds like it was something that they had to deliberate about, that it was something that took some time for them to finally come to a conclusion that they needed to do something. And so I really don't think that they went out of their way to try to make him like a martyr, or to try to sully his reputation or say that he really did something wrong. I really feel like the suspension itself was more symbolic than anything else, just to kind of let people know, hey, we still have rules in place, and although he tried to do a great thing and he wasn't trying to just go out there and gallivant and try to be a quote-unquote hero, at the same time, we still have these things in place, and these are the rules, and there are consequences that come with that. And so, again, it just kind of feels unfortunate that he had to be suspended. But again, suspended for 48 hours. In the grand scheme of things, not really that big a deal. Wish that they would have suspended the man with pay, because again, he did do a good thing. It wasn't like he was going in trying to try to be a hero and trying to say, well, I'll do it if no one else will, or blah blah blah. I really do believe, or at least I hope, that his intentions were good and that he really was just trying to help someone who was in need at the time. And that because time was of the essence, he really just did what he felt was right at that time. But again, still just sucks that he had to end up getting suspended for doing what they're trained to do, which is to help people. Again, just kind of piggybacking off of a conversation we had last week. It sucks that we're kind of in a world where you're not really able to, help people first, that people don't come first in the world that we live in anymore. It's more about trying to, make sure that, people are getting paid or whatever the case is. And so for a lot of folk who, could be helped or should be helped, it seems like there's always some type of hula hoops and some jump ropes and some fire that they have to jump through just to be able to receive the help that they need. And so again, just real unfortunate this week that, someone had to be suspended for doing their job. But at the same time, it's like I said, some things just aren't going to be helped. And so again, just kind of hurts that that's kind of the world that we live in today. But at the same time, rules are rules. And when you sign up for what you sign up for, you're either going to, follow the rules or you're going to break the rules for whatever the situation or circumstance calls for. My hope and expectation is that, we find ourselves in a place where we're able to choose what's right over what's convenient, even if it does cost us some things. And I think that's kind of the takeaway that I get most of all from his situation, that he chose to do what's right. I don't know whether he thought about the consequences that were going to come as a result of that or anything, but he chose to do what was right. And as a result of doing that, it did cost him, a couple of days' pay and everything. But at the end of the day, I feel like his conscience is clear because he felt like he did what was necessary at the time. And although, again, the woman did end up dying from her injuries, he can sleep better at night knowing that he did the right thing. And that's, what all of us should be encouraged to just try to do, is to do what's right, regardless of the situation, regardless of the circumstances, and regardless of the consequences that come with that. I feel like a lot of us in the world that we live in today can get fearful of doing the right thing because of what it will cost us. I mean, we see it all the time. We see it all the time in politics. We see it all the time in our communities. We see it all the time just in general on our jobs or whatever. And a lot of people end up doing the convenient thing instead of doing the right thing for fear of losing this, that, and the third. But it's encouraging to see that there are still some people who are willing to do what's right, even though it may cost them. And again, like I said, I don't feel like the fire department really wanted to suspend him, given that they only suspended him for 2 days for violating that policy. But again, intent I can't really judge because it's not like they put it in the report or anything. But I really do believe that they felt that he did what was right too. And so we can only be just more encouraged to do what is right, regardless of what the consequences might be, because we know that at the end of the day, it's better to get a good night's rest knowing we did everything that we could to try to make this world a better place than to stand by and do nothing, and then when the worst does happen, wonder what could I have done, or why didn't I do this, or why didn't I do that. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to fill out the comment section, to write in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or concerns that you have. Again, I am Mod Podging right now, so if you see me kind of, going back and forth looking like I'm painting something, I'm just gluing down the puzzles that I finished last week and this week. Finally trying to get these things on the, off my table so I can put some other puzzles in their place. Again, if you have any comments or any questions, feel free to chime in at any time. Try to answer them as best as I can. All right, the next thing that I wanted to talk about today is Dwyane Wade and his decision to publicly support his son and his, the transgender conversation that he is now having with the public. As many of us should know by now, Dwyane Wade's 12-year-old son has claimed to be transgender and is living his life as a girl. And both Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union have come out in full support of their son making the transition to being a girl. And so Dwyane Wade went out, and I think he did about 2 or 3 pressers regarding his son's transition to becoming a daughter, and how they have changed or accepted his son's name. And again, I hadn't followed the story enough to know all the particular details about the name and how long it's been going on and that sort of thing, because that's not really what I want to talk about today. So at any rate, Dwyane Wade was out in the public and was, again, just talking about how supportive they are and how they're proud of their son for sticking to his truth, and how they're again in full support of everything that he decides to do. And a lot of people in the social media realm, a lot of people in the entertainment realm had a lot to say on both sides of that argument. On one side, of course, there was a lot of support, a lot of, so proud of them for, allowing Dwyane Wade's son to live his truth and those sort of things. And then there was this other side that was in strong opposition against Dwyane Wade's decision to be so open and vocal about supporting their son for two reasons. One, because they felt like 12 years old was too early of an age to try to make such a life-altering decision. And then two, because they felt like Dwyane Wade was basically making their son's transition more about him, Dwyane Wade, than about the son. And that they basically have captured or exploited their son's transgender journey. One of my friends on Facebook said something along the lines of, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He said that when you decide to bring something to the public realm, you are opening yourself up to public criticism. That when you decide to post something, or when you decide to share something, or when you decide to go on the national media to do something, you are opening yourself up to criticism, good, bad, or indifferent. And so it makes little sense to get upset and to be up in arms about an opinion that you have or a statement that you make when you make it in an open form, especially in the social media age that we live in today. That if you decide that you're going to share your truth or share your journey or share whatever it is that you want to share, that you are opening yourself up to the fact that there are people who do not think like you, who do not feel how you feel, and are just as free to make a comment or an opinion about whatever it is that you put out there. I remember once when in my city they have what's called a Wintersville Week, where the two high schools in our city play a football game against one another. It's one of the biggest football games in the state. And this particular year, I can't remember who won and who lost, but it was basically like 1,000 points to 0. The other one team won, just beat the other team down. Like it was 0 points. And the very next day, one lady who used to be my friend on Facebook posted the fact that her church passed out 0 bars to everyone in the church in recognition of the football game. And they had this whole deal for about 45 minutes during the worship service about the fact that this football team had lost and had beat this team down, and they scored 0 points. And they gave out 0 bars to everyone, the whole 9 yards. And I took, again, she shared it in the public forum, she shared it in the public realm, and although she found it funny, at the time I didn't. And I didn't find it funny because I felt like it was a waste of 45 minutes of a worship service in a church. And when you're dedicating that bulk of time to something that does nothing for the soul. Now again, I'm not the most serious person on earth by any stretch of the imagination. I love to have fun. I love to have a good time. So in no way am I saying that, oh, when you're in church you have to be so serious, you have to be so stuffed up and buttoned up. Um, but at that particular point in time, I didn't think it was cool to dedicate such an exorbitant amount of time on, a pigskin. I didn't think that that was right to spend so much time doing that when a worship service should be more focused on, trying to minister to people about the goodness of God and Christ and all those sorts of things. And so, because she had shared this and made it public, I took her video and shared it on my wall and talked about the fact that I didn't think it was right that you were wasting so much time in your worship service, not talking about Christ, and instead worshiping a football game, because everybody in the worship service was so into it and so involved and were making noise and blah blah blah, and she caught a whole attitude with me because I shared her video that she made public. And she was like, that's my intellectual property. You shared it without my permission. I want you to take it down, blah, 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 blah. And she then proceeded to block me after the fact. And so I've never heard from her again. And it's very unfortunate because I really liked her and I really liked the things that she was posting. But it is what it is. And so I say all that to say that Dwyane Wade, I good, bad, or indifferent. You're going to do what you want to do. That's your child. You do, whatever you want to do with your child. And you parent your child how you want to parent your child. But I do believe that there are certain things that should not be made public in such a magnanimous way. Because again, he's gone out of his way, and Gabrielle Union has gone out of her way to to make such a huge deal over their son's, transgenderism. And again, it's no knock on it. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I think that at some point we have to take into consideration the fact that some people are just not ready for their lives to be exposed to the public in that way. I don't know how mentally prepared anyone could be to have to go through such a life-altering decision at such a young age. And so for me, I don't think that it's something that should be made public. Now, do I believe that 12-year-olds can make certain decisions about their sexuality? Yes, because I remember at 12 years old, I liked girls, and I liked girls a lot, and I had certain thoughts about girls and all that jazz that comes with it. And, it's in middle school, hormones are starting to rage. And so this whole idea of let a kid be a kid and not have to worry about that kind of stuff, it's kind of a moot point because we're all sexual creatures and we all have these innate desires that are in us. Some people, some guys like girls, some girls like guys. Hold on one second. Some girls like guys, some guys like girls, but then you have some guys who like guys and some girls who like girls, and so it's just what it is. What it is. There's nothing that we can do to stop how a person feels about another person. It's just the way that it is. Now, if taking it into the spirit realm, there's a whole nother dynamic that comes with identity and gender and all that kind of stuff. So again, that's not what I'm here to debate. What I am debating is whether or not it's something that should be made so public when he's at such a young age. Now, I believe that Dwyane Wade's son does have a YouTube page and an Instagram and those sort of things. So he's kind of already out there way before any of this stuff kind of came along. But at the end of the day, I feel that at some point you have to be willing to allow there to be some level of privacy when it comes to those type of things. Because again, people are going to be people. And you have some people who are questioning Dwyane Wade's parenting skills. You have some people who are questioning whether or not he really cares about his child because of allowing allowing the conversation to have come to such a public light. You have some people who are questioning whether or not people should stop being so mean and so hateful and spiteful because of the fact that this is out there in the open, and on and on and on we can go. And so again, I think that it's not so much about the fact that, for me, it's not about the fact that Dwyane Wade is, having these conversations with his son and allowing his son to explore his sexuality. Because again, when I was 12 years old, I wish my parents would have talked to me about my sexuality and the things that were going on with me. I think I was more afraid to talk to them about it. More so just because, again, I didn't know how to even engage in having the conversation. I mean, I don't think we really had conversations about stuff like that until I was almost out of high school. So I wish that I had the courage to talk to my parents more about how I was feeling about girls and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, I don't think that Dwyane Wade's being a bad parent. I do question his bringing the conversation to the forefront. My wife and I were talking about it last night, and she said that maybe it's just the fact that it had already been out there, and so rather than try to, back away from it, he was trying to get ahead of it. And I can understand that to a certain degree. And so again, it's not a knock against his parenting skills. I think Dwyane Wade, you're an awesome parent. I think that Gabrielle Union, you're an awesome parent. I've kind of watched y'all's journey in y'all's relationship and y'all's dynamics and marriage and all that kind of stuff. And so I think it's a beautiful thing. That y'all are able to have the conversation with one another. Because again, I pray that I'm able to have the conversations that are necessary with my daughters when they get older about, sexuality, relationships, and that sort of thing, and not be such a prude when they start talking to me about these things. And I'll feel the way that I feel about certain things and have conversation with them about that. But again, at the end of the day, I do wish and hope that they are able to be as open with me as Dwyane Wade and his children are able to be open with one another. And I think that's the takeaway more than anything that I take from that whole thing. That, yes, be prepared to open yourself up to criticism and those sort of things when you put stuff out there. But it's such a beautiful thing at the same time to see that they were able to have the conversations and continue to have the conversations that they're having with each other about sexuality, about identity, and those sort of things. Because again, I'm hoping and praying that I'm able to have those similar conversations with my kids when they get older, or even now. Because again, in the world that we live in today, it's very difficult to have these conversations, to not have these conversations, because the information's already out there. So I'm hoping and praying that I'm able to have as great of a conversation with my kids as again Dwyane Wade's been able to have with his. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment in the comment section. Again, I'll try to get to them as best as I can. Y'all are watching me literally watch paint dry as I'm watching these two puzzles. Again, one by Gallison and the other by Anatolian being dried, so I can put them up and get them off my table here in my lab. The next thing that I want to talk about today is the fact that Snoop Dogg was under fire for basically threatening the life of Gayle King. And so for those who haven't been following the story, Snoop Dogg issued an apology that Gayle King accepted after he basically threatened her life after a snafu that took place when she conducted an interview with former LA Sparks star Lisa Leslie. To give you some backstory, Gayle, Kobe Bryant and his daughter and 7 others died in the plane crash that still got me kind of in my feels, especially with All-Star Weekend now and all the things that they're doing in respect to Kobe Bryant and all of them. And that whole thing sparked a debate about whether or not we should be celebrating him because of the past sexual allegations back when he was 21. And And so there was people who were saying we shouldn't be celebrating him because he's a rapist, but others were saying, that no one was saying anything before he died, so why bring it up now? Turning into this whole thing of a role that really sullied the life and the legacy that everyone was trying to celebrate. At any rate, Gayle King is interviewing Lisa Leslie for something. I don't know because I didn't watch the interview. But I did read the report about the fact that after the interview was done, CBS edited the video to run the commercial that they were running so that people will want to come and watch, and they took a question and answer out of context to basically get people to watch the interview. And in it, they basically were saying, did Lisa Leslie believe that that Kobe Bryant was a rapist? And Lisa Leslie basically said, again, I'm paraphrasing all of this, that we shouldn't let that situation sully his reputation. And it sounded just like I said it, to where, people were all up in arms at Gayle King for asking the question. Even though Gayle King said, I'm mad at CBS for taking what I said out of context. That's not how that conversation went, but that they edited it so that way they can get the likes and all that kind of stuff. And so in the midst of that, Snoop Dogg said to Gayle King in an Instagram video, King should quote, back off B, before we come and get you. Before we come get you. And that was basically a threat, that, hey, you got some things, you're in, and we coming for you if you don't stop what you're doing. And Gayle King has been under fire for hurting in some strange way people of color, black people in particular. I think they liken it really back to the R. Kelly interview where R. Kelly was basically just losing his cotton-picking mind, and Gayle King held her composure so well. I really don't see what the problem was with that. I think he kind of backed himself into his own little corner, but that's neither here nor there. But Gayle King has been under fire for the way that she has conducted interviews with those of black descent or of color in general. And because of that, when they saw this interview, a lot of people in the black community in particular were up in arms because they couldn't believe that this had happened. Again, they took the conversation out of context and really didn't allow for there to be a fuller discussion about what was going on based upon the conversation that Gayle King did have with Lisa Leslie. Nevertheless, Snoop Dogg got up there and he threatened her basically, and then later came back and apologized for what he said. He posted a video online. He said that he basically expressed regret for tearing her down in a derogatory manner based on emotions. He said in the video, I was raised way better than that, so I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I used and calling you out of your name and just being disrespectful. It said that the rapper's apology Wednesday came after he had a talk with his mom. He said, I didn't mean for it to be like that. I was just expressing myself for a friend that wasn't here to defend himself. A lot of people look up to me and they love me and they appreciate me. So I want them to know that anytime you mess up, it's okay to fix it. It's okay to man up and say that you were wrong. I know that if I had only seen the clip you saw, I would be extremely angry with me too. I am. This is what Gayle King said in calling out CBS. I know that if I had only seen the clip you saw, I would be extremely angry with me too. I'm mortified, I'm embarrassed, and I'm very angry. Unbeknownst to me, my network put a clip of a very wide-ranging interview, totally taken out of context, and when you see it that way, it's very jarring. So again, it's just really sad. Again, that this is kind of again the world that we live in today. And I was talking to my friend about this because we talk about this all the time at work. The fact that it is no longer about the truth. The media that we live in today is no longer about getting the truth. It's no longer about trying to figure out what the facts are. It's all about what can we put up here that's going to get the most eyes on what we want them to see. That's the game that we play now. And it's not just in the news, it's everywhere. It's in entertainment, it's in music, on and on we can go. You could have a person who can put out one of the greatest albums on earth, but they know in order to get people to like it, they got to put out some poppy song that has maybe 2 or 3 lyrics in it all together, but it's got a good beat just to get people to go and listen to the rest of the album. And so it's not just in media, it's everywhere. We even see it now in ministry where in order for people to generate likes, and again, I am guilty of this too, so I'm really telling on myself, that you want to put out a clip of some kind where you say the most dynamic or the most powerful statement so that people are like, ooh, let me go see the rest of the tape, or ooh, let me go follow this, or da-da-da-da. So it's not like this is old news. I mean, this is not like this is new news. This has been going on for the longest time. You want to put something out there that's catchy, that's poppy, that's going to make people want to watch what you want to watch, what they want you to watch. But again, it seems like more and more, especially in the social media charged world we live in today, people are more and more willing to hurt others for likes, hurt others for eyeballs, hurt others for media value, for money. And again, been going on since the dawn of time, so this is nothing new, but it just sucks that Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the 7 others had to become victims of this malicious cycle that continues to happen over and over again, where in order for us to get people to watch what we want them to watch or to see what we want them to see, we've got to sully reputations and we've got to make clips. And it's no longer about having integrity. It's all about just putting something out there that's going to make people say, ooh, and make comments and make suggestions. And, I would have hoped that the legacy that Kobe Bryant had left for all of us would have had people in these positions exercise a little more caution when it comes to what they're putting out there. Even with Gayle King, and with all her altruism in the conversation we had with Lisa Leslie, I still believe there was a way that she could have gone about asking those questions about Kobe Bryant's legacy and the rape allegations and blah 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 that would have made CBS's ability to clip the interview a lot more challenging. I'll put it like that. Because yes, even though she had a nuanced conversation with Lisa Leslie, she still said enough of what she said in the way that she said it in order for CBS to clip this, clip that, and then put something up. And so even in with her best of intentions, there was still a way that she could have gone about it that I think would have been a lot better than how she went about asking those questions. Nevertheless, even if that's the case and that's the interview and the interview was what it was, CBS and other news outlets like it still have to me a responsibility to make sure that you're still upholding integrity and kindness and compassion when it comes to putting their stuff out there, when it comes to doing the interviews and things like that. Because again, it's not necessary to damage someone's reputation or to go about hurting people for the sake of making $1 and getting people to put their eyeballs on your TV on your channel. It's not that deep. You can still have integrity. In fact, I believe that if you do have more integrity, more people, although it may be a slow build, would be willing to go and watch what you're putting out there than just having the flash and the glitz and the glamour for 10 seconds. It seems like we're in this age of just wanting those 15 seconds of fame and just wanting it over and over and over and over again instead of actually being able to tell a real story that has some meat and bones to it. and allowing people to then make up their own minds about whether loving it or hating it. It's just one of those things where it doesn't matter who you hurt, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter how you say it, doesn't matter how you clip it. As long as people are watching it, that's what people care about. And so it doesn't matter what you do, how you do it. There's no integrity in the game anymore. It's all about how many likes can I generate, how many dollars can I raise at the expense of any type of integrity or any type of compassion for the sake of others. And it's gonna hurt. It hurts me to say this, but I'm almost wishing that this whole Kobe Bryant death would finally pass over, so that way we don't have to deal with this stuff anymore. Because it's just so hurtful to see how many people are so hateful toward this man, and hateful toward his legacy and all that he has accomplished in his life because of one situation that people believe the worst about. Again, there's no evidence to support whether he did or didn't do anything, but people are so willing to just take what one side of the argument is saying and run with it, rather than recognizing that regardless of what did happen, people make mistakes, people can change, people can grow, and giving them that space and being able to celebrate something that I wish that I could have been in Kobe Bryant's position and be able to do half the things that he's doing. It's part of the reason why I'm hustling now, trying to get to that place that God so says the same. So anyway, that's my take on that. If you do have any questions or comments, or if you do have anything that you'd like to ask me, feel free to comment in the comment section. I'll try to get to your comments as best as I can. With the time that we do have left, I'm going to wrap it up with this interesting story that was put out on the 11th. This lady's expensive piano was destroyed by a moving company. How does a moving company destroy a piano? But they found a way. Dadgummit, they found a way. This happened in New York, and I'm going to read the story because I just find it so fascinating. Canadian virtuoso Angela Hewitt is grieving the loss of her rare and expensive grand piano, which she called her best friend, in a Facebook post Saturday after movers dropped it late last month. Devastated by the loss, the well-known classical pianist wrote, "It happened 10 days ago and has been such a shock to me that I didn't immediately want to share it with the world. The destroyed instrument, a Fazioli concert piano, played its final tune at one of Hewitt's recording sessions in Berlin for a coming album of Beethoven's Variations, which is set for release in November." She said, "I was so happy with the results and feeling elated. The piano movers came into the control room where I was finishing up with my producer to say that they had dropped my precious Fazioli concert grand piano." She said, "I couldn't believe it. The piano, which according to CNN was estimated to be worth $194,000. Again, $194,000 was not salvageable after the accident. Fazioli Piano's founder, Paolo Fazioli, himself inspected the damage along with his team. What he found was that the fall broke the instrument's iron frame, the lid, and many parts of the internal structure, rendering it a lost cause. It's kaput," he wrote. She added that the handmade F278 Fazioli was the only one in the world to have 4 pedals, a feature normally reserved for the F308 model, and that she had recently replaced its hammers and strings. "I adored this piano," she said. "It was my best friend, my best companion. I loved how it felt when I was recording, giving me the possibility to do anything I wanted." Hewitt tweeted that she had kept the piano in her home in Italy, but it had traveled the world with her for nearly all her recordings and several performances over the last 17 years. She said, "I hope my piano will be happy in piano heaven." Let me tell y'all something. These doggone moving company, y'all had one job to do. One job. Now, I'm grateful no one was hurt. According to the report, no movers were hurt, no people on the street were hurt, none of that. But y'all had one job to do, man. One dadgum job. Move a piano. That's all y'all do. Like, y'all don't do nothing else but move stuff. That's all you do. And y'all dropped a $200,000 piano. $200,000. How? How do you do that? How do you make that mistake? Now, again, we all make mistakes, and so, it's not like it's the end of the world. I mean, we all do things that, we muck up sometimes. So it's not like it was anybody's fault, not the devil or anything. Not like they went out of their way and said, hey, you know what we ought to do today? Let's go and drop a whole piano, a whole $200,000 piano. Let's just drop it on the ground and see what happens. But bruh, $200,000. $200,000. Gone. They ain't never coming back. They ain't never coming back. And again, even the piano people said, we can't fix this. This is done. This is done. Like, over and done. Now, given the fact that I'm pretty sure she had piano insurance and all that kind of stuff, she'll probably end up getting another one made for her. But I understand what she what she felt when she said this piano's been with me for 17 years. It's like your favorite whatever. You don't want another one. It ain't about getting another one. You want the one you had, the one that you spent time with, the one that you have made your own. You don't want another one. You don't want to deal with another one. It's kind of like how, my wife and I, we got this house. Right before we were actually able to get it, we were considering doing something else altogether. And I drove over to this place thinking that we weren't going to get it, and then went back to my mom's house where we were living at the time, and about had tears in my eyes. My wife was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I rode by the house again. She was like, why'd you ride by the house? I was like, because I want that house. That's my house. I want that house. We picked out the stuff. We picked out the colors. We picked out the floor. All that stuff. I want my house. And so, after having spent so much time with this piano, after having spent so much time, cultivating it and making it her own, like, she wanted her piano, and I feel her on that, man. Like, she's probably gonna get another one. It's not the complete end of the world, but again, she said it took me some time to get to be able to even post about the fact that I've lost this thing, man. And so I feel her pain. Y'all had one job to do, moving company. Y'all had one job to do. Move this piano. Again, y'all probably done moved this thing 150 billion 11 times. So it's not like this was something brand new. Again, however it fell, very, very sad. Very, very sad. So again, it sucks, and it just is what it is. Like I said, I can't really say much else about it. But man, y'all had one job to do, one dadgum job, and y'all blew it, and it cost $200,000. $200,000. So condolences to you, Miss Hewitt. My condolences to you. Condolences to the piano family, and I hope that y'all are able to get over it at some point, which is probably never, because again, after 17 years, it's almost like having a pet, man. You just don't get over stuff like that. So that's all I got for today, y'all. Thank y'all again so much for your viewership. I'm gonna start building my YouTube page up within the next week or two, and so all of my podcasts will be available on YouTube. I'm also trying to find a way to make this audio as well. So I'm gonna be trying to scour different ways to make this a podcast on iTunes and things like that. And so if you don't catch can't see, don't want to watch the video version, the audio version will start becoming available as well. If you guys have any questions or concerns, or if there's anything out there in the media that you see that you want me to talk about, feel free to hit me up. You've got me on Facebook, you got me on Instagram, and you have me on YouTube as well. So feel free to comment what you see out there and what you would like for me to talk about. Outside of that, though, guys, this is pretty much it. Like I said, I've just been watching paint dry, and it ain't dried up yet, so we're gonna be watching it just a little bit longer. But I thank you all so much once again for your viewership. As I said 2 weeks ago, love one another, man. Yeah, love hard. You never know when the last day will be for any of us to live on this earth, and so go and be with your families, be with your friends, love them as hard as you can. Take that vacation every now and then, to go get your mind right, to get your heart right. And again, just love and peace to everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of y'all's weekend and have a great week. And we'll see what happens. I believe my daughter has a game on Friday, which means that we probably have to move the podcast to another day once again. But I'll figure all that out and I'll let y'all know through the different social media channels. But again, I love you guys. Y'all be well. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll see y'all next week on The Mad Hatter is Puzzled.